What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tru-Grit runner. So first off, I want to address the elephant in the room, and that is what is going on with Tru-Grit. So over the last couple years, I have been a pretty big supporter of Tru-Grit and what they've been doing. And for me personally, I've had a pretty open line of communication with them. They've always been really good at hooking me up with stuff, not necessarily asking for anything in return or reviews. And just to be clear, there's absolutely no money exchanged between me and Tru-Grit. They did have an affiliate program, which I wasn't even a part of. So really, I was just hyping these guys up because I liked their products. I liked the exchanges that I had with them. And overall, I thought they were a pretty good company. Over the last, 6 months or so, things started getting a little rough. Some of the sales that I've been posting, people hadn't been getting the items from, whether it was like from Tru-Grit's website, they did have like a fire sale, or whether it was from Best Buy. And I absolutely had no clue what was going on. They didn't tell me anything about what was going on. I just kind of figured, like, if it was coming from Best Buy, then it would come from a Best Buy warehouse. I tried to reach out to them about the stuff that was not being shipped out, and I really didn't get much of an answer for anything. So I apologize for that. If I led you guys in the wrong direction, that was not what I was trying to do. I was just trying to get you guys some good deals. So recently I found out that they're going through a change of ownership, and as some of you guys know, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I don't know a whole lot of the details about bankruptcy, but I believe that with Chapter 11, you are still going to keep your business, your debts are abolished, and you have to kind of it's like a restructuring of things. And then everything that you do from then on out has to be approved by the court. And that is what is taking so long for people's orders to be fulfilled. Don't quote me on that. I don't really remember exactly what they told me, but the key takeaway here is that the old owners kind of ran into the ground at the end, and then the new owners are trying to pick up the pieces and trying to move forward with Tru-Grit. So they will still be continuing on as a company, but I just don't know what that's going to look like, or even whether they're going to carry the Tru-Grit runner anymore. So when the Tru-Grit runner first launched in early 2021, it kind of launched with a bang because it was the most affordable non-motorized curved treadmill. This thing came in at $1,800. I think it's like $2,000 now, but came in at $1,800, and that was like half the cost of any other curved runner, even the crappy ones. I had an Ergo runner, and it was terrible. I couldn't wait to get rid of it. Thank God, not thank God the pandemic happened, but thank God that surge in fitness equipment happened, because I was able to offload that thing pretty easily. So going into this, I knew what was really good, which I already had the Assault runner, and I knew what was really bad. And for me, I always thought the Tru-Grit runner fit somewhere in the middle. This thing is a decently capable treadmill. It's just not the greatest if you plan on using it for CrossFit. But first off, let's kind of take a look around. So the construction of it is pretty sturdy. It's not as sturdy or as heavy as the Assault runner. This thing weighs like 450 pounds. And moving it around is not that hard, but the wheels make it a little cumbersome because they're like teeny tiny wheels. So if you use the Assault runners and you've moved those around, you're gonna notice that immediately when you get to the Tru-Grit runner. The space that you have for running is probably about 3 feet. I'm not gonna measure, but it's right around 3 feet. It's plenty of room if you're sprinting or anything. I think the actual space and width of the track is fine. It's about 20 inches, and the operation is generally pretty smooth. It's not as smooth as the Assault runners and the Tru-Form trainer that I've had a brief encounter with, but I've never really tested in depth. And overall, I think the build quality of the Tru-Grit runner is good for the price point that they have it at. Once again, this is like a $2,000 runner compared to the Assault Pro, which is like $3,300, which you're obviously going to pay a little bit more to get the construction of that unit. But all in all, I think the track moves pretty smoothly. It's definitely not as rough as that Ergo runner that I had, which felt like you were running on Legos. So another cool feature about the Tru-Grit runner is that you have levels of magnetic resistance. So when you first set this thing up, and setup is pretty easy, you really just have to put these sides on, and then you put these handles on, and then you connect the front here, and that's pretty much it. It's fairly simple. But once again, going back to the magnetic resistance, you have 6 levels. You have the 1 and 2 setting are gonna be like your run settings, which this is the one, it's very easy to move on. And then the second one just adds a little bit more resistance. And I think if you were a little bit heavier, you might wanna run on 2. And then they consider the 3 and 4 settings a walk setting. So if you wanted to go on a weighted walk, or you just wanted to do tempo stuff, you could go on 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6 are gonna be like your sled push settings where the resistance is the highest, and it takes a little bit of effort to actually move the track back. You can also hold on to the sides or the front for the sled push settings. Now, it doesn't actually mimic a sled push, it just adds a little bit of resistance. And if you're thinking about buying this for the sled push, I would think again, I would just buy a sled because it doesn't mimic pushing a sled at all. I find that it's best paired with like a weight vest. That's pretty much it. I just use it. I don't even bother running on it. I just walk. And really, a lot of the times, I use it to warm up. For me, the most used settings on this thing is 1 and 6. 1 if I'm running, and 6 if I'm just warming up. But another cool thing about having that function is that you can go backwards, easily hold on to the sides. And what I like to do, this to me is more like a backward sled drag, because I never really do a heavy backward sled drag. And I think that helps in warming up the knees pretty well if you have sore knees all the time like myself. So one thing that I do not like about the track is that it can go either way. So stopping or getting on is it can be a little precarious sometimes if you want to just get on, whereas you can just jump on the assault runner and just start running. This, if you jump on, you might go forward, which is kind of weird. With a little bit of use, it becomes easier to deal with, but if you're used to the assault runner, it's definitely surprising when you first jump on. Now, the monitor. The monitor is crisp and clear, and it has a readout for speed, it has your time, it has your distance, it has your calories, and it has your total, I think, miles ran. And in order to get through everything, you have to go through the mode button. And the reason why that's an important thing is because you have to manually reset every value. You can't just reset everything, which is pretty annoying considering the fact that the monitor never resets until you reset it. So if you did a workout a week ago and then you hopped on this thing this week, you would have to go through and reset everything if you cared, which, I mean, I guess is a small annoyance, but I don't know why that is a thing. I don't really see the purpose of that being a function. The second and most detrimental problem about the Tru-Grit monitor is the fact that it does not track in meters, and there's no way to change it. It only tracks in miles. So if you were a runner and all you cared about was running miles, then that would be fine. You can track, a half mile, it'd just be like 0.5. You can track a quarter mile, 0.25. But if you are thinking of converting or using this for like a WOD where you have to run 200 meters, you kind of have to guess. You're gonna go 0.13-ish miles because you're gonna run over every time. You probably don't wanna run under. And I think if your purpose of having a runner is for CrossFit, this is not the best option for you. But on a positive note, the monitor seems to track distance and time pretty well. I feel like I'm pretty evenly matched on the Tru-Grit runner as I am on my assault runner. with all these runners, I take a little bit longer. So my like 400s are typically right around 2:10, and my miles are around 9 minutes or so, which like I said, I'm not a fast runner, I'm not a great runner, and I'm never gonna admit to being a good runner. I'm a bad runner. I'm just not a good runner. But the time values seem to be pretty accurate between both of the machines that I have. So I think when it comes down to it, you have to really assess what you want to use the runner for. If you're just looking for something to run on, I think the Tru-Grit runner is actually not a bad deal. It's not as smooth as the Assault runner, but once again, it doesn't cost as much as the Assault runner. The build quality is not as nice, but once again, it's not bad either. The monitor works well enough if all you cared about was, running in miles. But if you are a CrossFitter, especially if a competitive one, and you wanted a runner to, practice on for events, this is not going to be the one for you. Especially because, you have to guess how many meters you have going on. Like if you're running like a 400, obviously you're just going to run 0.25 miles. But, if you wanted to be accurate to a T, this monitor, it's just not going to do it for you. And I think a lot of the people that this is marketed towards are CrossFitters. So that's generally the answer that I give people. Like, if you want to run on it, great. But if you wanted something to actually compete on or train on, then the Tru-Grit runner is not a good option for you. And I think, when it comes down to you're spending $2,000 on a runner, you might as well just spend the extra $1,000 and get something that is tried and true, is sturdier, and is kind of like the competition standard. Once again, I think the Tru-Grit runner is gonna be fine for most people, but it just doesn't work for CrossFit. And that's what I do, and that's why I don't really care for it. And if they were to release a new monitor, which I think would be pretty easy to do, then I think it would be worth taking a look at, because the actual hardware itself, as in the track and the build quality and everything, I think that is all fine, especially considering the price. The only glaring fault on this thing is gonna be that monitor. If you guys have any questions about the Tru-Grit runner, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.